What's up, guys? Welcome back to AC Designs Garage, and on today's episode I'm going to show you how to spray the stuff that's just a pain most of the time to spray, and that's the metallics. I'm going to show you a ton of tips and tricks. They'll be all the way through the whole video, so make sure you stay to the end, check them out, and get you spraying these metallics a lot faster and have more confidence in your spray bombing. Let's get at it. Alright guys, today we're going to be using two different cans of paint, same name brand. Remember guys, I like Rust-Oleum. That don't mean you have to use Rust-Oleum. I just like it. It seems to be more consistent because you got to watch a lot of these spray bombs and stuff. If you intermix them, they will blow up and wrinkle, and you guys having problems wrinkling. I've had it too, is because I've got a nice metallic Rust-Oleum spray paint and I need some primer to put down on something, so I just grabbed one of the other ones. Well, I think for the most part Rust-Oleum is enamel and other stuff's lacquer. Lacquer and enamel don't want to mix. If you're getting wrinkling and stuff, that's one of the reasons. I'm gonna, throughout this thing here, I'm gonna give you a couple reasons on wrinkling, and then I may do a dedicated video on wrinkling and what's causing it and how to avoid it. But today we're gonna be using this Rust-Oleum metallic paint and primer in one. I'll see how thick this stuff is. Do you guys understand how they put paint and primer in one? This don't make sense to me. But anyway, they're smarter at this than me. This is the dark steel, and this is a little tip. This is from painting cars for a living for 20-some years. What we use is something called sealer, and what we'll put down right before our base coat. And what you want your sealer to be kind of close to this, and you're like, well, that's flat black and that's gray, but it's a dark gray. So what I do is on my, like, even if I was doing a car, I was spraying one of these more of a gunmetal type color. I would put down a dark gray or black sealer, whatever you want to call it. They call them dark gray. But put that down and it makes the color come up faster, because these metallics are almost like a candy. They're kind of transparent because they ain't nothing but little flake sparklies. And if you got, like out here today, well, let's walk out here. I'll show you what we're working with. First off, I want you to see the temperature. We're going to go to the shade under the big old chestnut tree. But check out the temperature today. It is a Hondo down here, almost 98 by that. But that's another thing, tip number 2, that will cause stuff to wrinkle. If it's too hot or too humid, it just tends to cause you problems with the paint. Now here's what we're using. This is a fender off my father-in-law's old 88 to 98 Chevrolet truck. I refuse to call them OBS because I have a 65 C10 in there, and it's the old body style. But anyway, that's just one of my rants. This is the 88 to 98 Chevrolet pick-em-up truck. It's got a little dent and stuff in here. We changed it out years ago on his truck and put a new one on. But let me know down in the comments below if you'd like to see me actually body work this, and we'll take it up to paint. This is going to be our new test panel. Still got the bed. We're going to check in on it in a couple months to see how the 2K clear versus just the polished Rust-Oleum holds up. But today we're not fixing the body work. I'm gonna wax and grease and just red Scotch-Brite it, and we're gonna start on the metallic spraying today. And I'm gonna show you, this will be a real world situation here. I'm gonna show you how to handle it, not get stripes and all that good stuff in it. Also, if you saw as we was walking out here, these are the new Shake Master 4000s. I just added some lightning holes in them just to make them look hot roddy. And yeah, one of these is headed to California. I think this one's going to Florida. Not sure. They'll ship out today. So if you're watching this video, your stuff shipped out yesterday. But yeah, let's go in here. We're going to get out the OG Shake Master 4000 and shake this paint up good, because that is essential to metallics. Keep these shook up, because after a while it'll settle in the can. You got to keep them shook up. You don't have to run through the Shake Master every time, but we'll get a good initial shake on it, get all the metallics floating in the middle of it. But yeah, this is the OG one without the holes. That's the one I'm gonna use because I'll sell the rest of them. And if you're interested in the Shake Master 4000 or any of these rad t-shirts here, let me show you the back. Death Before Electric, that's how we roll around here. Interested in any of these, head on over to www.acdesignsgarage.com and scoop you some up. Alright, get that in there. I still hadn't upgraded mine. I still got the one with the little screw on it. The new ones have the little hose clamps with the little thumb tag thing on, or thumb screw thing. It just makes it a lot easier. You ain't got to carry around a screwdriver. But I just keep shipping y'all all the good stuff, and I keep the old stuff. All right, guys, I had to cut the switch on where it'll actually work, so let's get this shook up. All right, got the metallic shook up. Like I said, we'll have to keep shaking it as long as you are using it every now and then. Also with these, I'm gonna see if I can. I don't know if you can take these tops right here off. I don't like these tops, but they spray nice, but they will spit and sputter on you. So, oh, let me grab the. I like this primer here. It works good. If you let it dry, you can wet sand it. I've used 2K clear over it. Hadn't had any trouble wrinkling it up yet, but I will say this, guys. This spray bombing stuff is kind of like you just don't know. It could blow up on you at any time. So far, I haven't had any trouble with it on the Rust-Oleum stuff, but just be aware of that. Stuff that worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. All right, enough Ramboing for one day. Like I said, if you get one of these new Shake Masters, it's got the little thumb screw, so you ain't got to carry your screwdriver around, but that thing works pretty good. As I've said before, I didn't design the paint shaker that goes in the Sawzall. This is just my rendition of it. All right, that's mucho better. So, we'll get this wiped down with wax and grease and a rag, and we'll sand it real quick. All right, guys, what we use is basically I just put my wax and grease remover. All this stuff will be linked in the description box below. What that is right up under the video you're watching. You can click on that little down button, and it tells the description and all that stuff. But I'll link all this stuff below that I'm using in this video. It comes from my Amazon affiliate links. It don't cost you guys any extra, but helps the channel out, and I make a very little small percentage off of it. But this stuff here works great. You probably could use some degreaser and pressure wash this fender, but I'm doing all this in one day, so we're gonna do it this way. This old mold stuff, I may have to put something on it. I may have to sand it off. Yeah, it'll probably work with sanding off. Man, they're soft. Of course, this thing's been sitting out there for 10 years or better. Let's get the bulky off and see if it sands off. Just want to make sure ain't no grease on it. Then we'll wipe it off one more time before we shoot the primer. And I will say with spray paint, I have learned that keep your coats down like your meals, how thick the paint is. The thinner you can make it, the better off you are, because when you start trying to build it up thick, that's when you get cracks and wrinkles and all kind of other stuff. So that's just another little tip you can have. I ain't gonna charge you no extra for that. So that's kind of clean. So what I use is the very fine, the red Scotch-Brite. Double it over like that so it don't put finger scratches in it. Make sure this is dried. And we're just gonna sand like this in a straight pattern. Make sure you get all the little nooks and crannies, especially all this, whatever this is. All right, guys, looks like it's taking this mold, or I don't know if this is mold. Usually wax and grease will take mold off. You're not trying to hog down on it real hard. You don't want to put real deep scratches and stuff in it. We're just trying to give it a little tooth to bite into. Just want to make you got Make sure you got all your areas that you're going to be painting good and prepped. When this stuff starts clogging up like it, sometimes it'll knock out. If it don't, you just flip it around and use the other sides. Yeah, this thing's sit in the woods for at least 10 years. I could have took some lacquer thinner and ate that, whatever that stuff's off that's on it. We're gonna try to get it real good and clean so we don't have no reactions. Like I was saying earlier, you want to keep your meals or your paint thickness down. Flip to the other good side to keep from wrinkling. So like the way I do that's the reason I'm gonna prime this thing black. We're not using this primer really to fill in imperfections. We're just using it as a base coat, if you want to call it, like a sealer coat, to help the color come up a lot faster. Because you'll see when we put this black under it that it'll turn to the silver real quick. That'll be fine. So the black's going to work best for it. Now like the next color up, this is dark steel. On the lighter gray, you're going to want to use a light gray color, like a regular primer gray color that you see on a lot of stuff. On the brighter silvers. I probably should have used the DA, but I'm trying to use tools that a lot of you guys that are starting out are using. And a lot of you guys don't have compressors and DA sanders and stuff like that. Now that just makes life a lot easier, because I wouldn't be out of breath if I was using a DA. Make sure you're getting in all your little nooks and crannies like that in the corners and these edges, because anywhere it don't have something to bite, it's gonna peel real easy, even though this thing's got a big old hog leg dent in it. But we're gonna pretend this is not there. We'll wipe over it one more good time, real easy. Make sure you're getting that crack in the body line real good. All right, get her wiped off. Get the bulk off here. Then we'll come back with another round. I ain't got enough air hose to reach out here under the trees out here. Normally you'd want to blow this off real good. Now I'm not going to clear this. We may do a video with 2K clearing it. And it's going to be a little harder to get a really nice shine out of this and get it no stripes in it. And I'm going to show you why when I start spraying it. Because a 1K or a single stage paint, you need to spray it fairly wet to get a good gloss. But with this metallic, if you start spraying it wet, it starts blotching. So if you want to get a good high sheen to it, you're going to need to do a 2K version. All right guys, we got our clean rag here. We're going to do one more good wipe down on it. And if you got tack rags, now's the time to use them right after you wipe this. It just takes any lint or anything off of it, but we're just going to wipe her real nice and easy. One trick I've learned using a lot of spray paint stuff is you need to let it tack really good. But for some reason, if you let it completely dry, you start having reactions sometimes. So I might hang me a piece of tape up here that I can test, so when I know it's time to recoat. But let's see how she does. This ain't gonna be perfectly slick or anything like that, because the fender's pretty rough. All right, you see how it's dirty. We're gonna go one more time over, and we're gonna get the majority of it. Everything's good and scuffed up where the paint will bite. So the way we're going to spray this is going to be a 50% overlap. If you guys watched any of my other spray paint videos, basically a 50% overlap. I'm gonna use this can as a, you'll make your spray. Now these cans here don't have the clicky clicks, the 5-ways. I do like them. And I think 7.4 is the one I like. It's got the good wide fan pattern. These have a fairly wide fan pattern, but these are gonna spray in a circle. And 50% overlap, and as you spray that lap through there, then you come back and half lap over it. So you're gonna do half, and then half, and then half. That's the way your 50% overlap's gonna look. It's just gonna be a half, 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 that's all it is. So we're gonna grab my tape so we can check it, and I'll put it up there real quick, and we'll get squirting. All right, basically what I'm gonna do, as humid as it is, these right here are the prime conditions, guys, to get wrinkle paint, to get cracky paint. It's just prime conditions for it. High humidity, of course, here in the south, here in North Carolina, it's hot, it's humid till about the end of September, or middle of September anyway. We got pretty high humidity. So I'm doing this for 2 reasons. To keep paint from blowing over on the edge like it matters, but really the main reason for it is to give me a place to check see if my paint's dry yet. Need some 1.5 inches. Another little tip to save you some money, guys, I use this Scotch 3M 230, let's say 233, I don't remember which one this one is. It ain't got a number on it. But the yellow works great, but that 233 is like the Cadillac of paint, or paint. It's the Cadillac of tape. I'll link all these in the description below. It's expensive, but it really works great. It don't bleed through, it tears nice, and it don't leave any ooey gooey everywhere. So that's the main thing. Don't use that old, now the blue tape that you get at the big box stores, even the 3M, the regular painter's tape works great for taping up door jambs if you're hanging doors, keep you from knocking chips in your paint. But it don't work good for this, I don't think. Works okay, but I guess you use what you got. And this is what I got. All right. All right, guys. Now what we're doing here is we're just trying to turn this thing a dark gray or black, whatever you want to call it. Always spray off panel. And I forgot to grab one thing. We're gonna need it for the metallic. You need you a rag in your pocket to wipe the tip off here, because it'll get built up, and then once it comes up, it'll spit a big place on it. You don't want that, so you gotta get some more rags. All right, guys, it's got a regular brand new clean rag. We're just gonna use it kind of like our tack rag if there's any dirt and stuff. But yeah, that's not bad. All right, so we're going to use this to wipe the tip off every now and then before it builds up. So what we're going to do, I like to do a perimeter spray, is I'll go around the edge, get all my top edges, and then I may come back in here and spray in this body line where it dips in. But we'll do the perimeter first. Like I said, we're not, and I'm probably 12 inches. Inches back. Now we're not trying to cover everything in one big old coat, because you want this stuff to dry good. So we're probably going to do 2 coats. We'll get in there. Keep that tip wiped off. What you're gonna want to do, this is ready to recoat when you start seeing it kind of look like blackboard, like chalk. See, here's this is shiny. You need to let this stuff kick off, because what happens with paint is when you spray it too heavy, it just gets thick. Well, the outside will crust over, and the inside of it, if you was to just cut a section out, will still be gooey, and then that's when you start having to crack in it. This stuff here, when it gets built up too much, all paint shrinks, but you don't want a big thick. The thicker you get it, the more it shrinks. It kind of, once it shrinks, it just tears like that, and that's where you get your cracks from. You want to just spray light coats where you get this little chalky finish. See what I was talking about, the 50% overlap? That's what I'm doing there. We're gonna go do the top all the way down. Kind of show you my pattern here if I can. You don't want to spray it dry, you just want it about like that right there, to where it's wet as it's going over it. We may do this in one good even solid coat down through here if we can. Those wide fan patterns are so much easier to do. Now you can, if you want to. This stuff oversprays real bad, and it's humid and it's drying faster. And I don't know what. We're gonna make sure we let this dry real good. And we'll come back and kind of tack it off. I think that's gonna do what we need though, guys. Like I said, we're just trying to make it black. We're not trying to build anything. Now this stuff, it builds up, and you can let it dry for probably day like day. You can let it dry for 3 or 4 hours and probably wet sand it and get you a real good, because if you get in here and look, it's got kind of a grainy look, and that's where it's laying on the overspray. But as you can tell, these spots right here, these are about ready to, it's already dry here, but these spots here are dried all the way through. See how it's little shinier spots? It's just evaporating that solvent out of it. So that should be good on that. And next up, we'll get this shook up real good as soon as it dries off, and I'll bring you back. All right, now that she's dried, what I'm gonna do is, there's nothing on this rag. I'm just gonna basically use it as a kind of like a tack rag and get any overspray, because this stuff sprays, this primer sprays so dry, and you can see it's coming off on it, just to get your overspray. Because what your overspray acts like is a sponge, really. It'll get in there, and you have to, if you ever notice you're spraying, especially areas like this, like these little crevasses here, they'll get a lot of overspray built up here. When you spray over them, they never will look right. They always look hazy and kind of like sand. And like I said, on this is all striped up with that primer, but we're just trying to get by with a minimal amount, just to give it a little under like a sealer coat here. So got all that wiped off, and she should be good to go. Now it's time to go over to the sparkly sparkle stuff here. To get this little safety thingy off, I hate these things that roll off like that, and you just chunk them and they're ready to go. I've shaken this one on the, is it shaking, shooken, whatever. I shook it up on the Shake Master, but it's been sitting out here for a little bit. Now if you need to spray on I usually hang me a piece of paper up. Airplane. Usually hang me a piece of paper up to check out the spray pattern. I guess we'll go over here on the trash can. You can see it does. See how transparent that stuff, you can see right through it? That's why we're doing the black. Because this, when you buy this stuff, and them old stripes may show through it. When you buy this stuff here, it's pretty transparent, so I'm hoping it's gonna cover these stripies up. So what you're gonna do when you spray this, we just saw the spray pattern. She's about 3.5–4 inches, so we're gonna 50% overlap it. We're going to give it covered. Do not put too much on here. You're going to want to just start good even coats over it. We're going to let that tack good. We'll come up here and check our tape and make sure it's good and dry, and it don't have that super wet look to it until we get the color built up. The way I do mine is I do color plus one is what I always called it. You get it up to where you think it's the color is good and covered, and then you do one more coat, which will be what we call a drop coat. In my ring of automotive people that paints, we call them drop coats. What we do is we stand back here about 2 foot and just barely missed it, and it gives you a good control coat, I think is the actual word for it. But that's what we're doing the last. That's why these metallic paint jobs don't have a super good shiny, but we're going to do the best we can on it. But if we just put 2K over it, it should look like $1,000,000 bucks. So enough of rattle trapping here. A little bit of trash here. We'll come up here and go from one end to the other. 50% overlap. And yes, I should be wearing a respirator, but it's kind of hard to talk. That's why I'm outside with the breeze blowing. But wear a respirator, people. This stuff is not good for you. Around the outside edge. All right, we're gonna let that tack. We're gonna wipe the, find my cloth over here. Now it's metallic, it gets everywhere. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, even on the end, it don't cover. That's why you gotta put a good undercoat under it. So we're gonna let that tack a little bit and we'll come right back to it. All right, let's take a look after one coat here. But notice how fast it's already come up to this silver by putting it over the black. If we'd have put it over the white, even you can see right here how it's real light. Let me spray some over. I got some white back here. I'll show you how it does. See how thin it looks? I sprayed that just as much as I just did the black. And you can see all the way through it. To here, it's already come pretty close up to color. So, that light coat there, that's good and dry. You can use, open this up, you may come through here with this. This is just a dead dry rag, no nothing on it. Once it's dried, and I don't do this until it is, what we're going to do, very lightly drop it on the ground. Wants to grab, but it's dry, but it wants to grab for some reason. Just drag it over and just get any of that built up. Off of there. Tack rag would probably work better. Get the overspray, because this is some overspraying stuff here, boys. Alright. Looks pretty good. I'll keep that in my pocket. So now, you gotta keep this stuff shook up. So we're gonna go around here and we'll come back with just a little wetter coat here this time. We're about 50 to 75% overlap. You see the speed I'm doing it at. Go from one end to the other. Don't stop in the middle, because it'll booger pretty bad if you stop in the middle. You'll get a run. All right, it's coming up to color pretty good. Probably one more, we'll let that evaporate. It's pretty color. What do you guys think? The HHR over there, what if we spray painted that? You guys like to see that? I mean full spray paint in this color. I think that'll look pretty cool. We may do that. We want to do a full spray bomb job on a whole car. I'm looking at paint booths. Like, I used to paint everything in there, but we got the 32 and the 65 truck in there and that little junk. So I ain't really got nowhere to paint. But I saw on the old Amazon, And a buddy of mine at Motorsports, you guys have been around spray paint long, you probably saw him. He does a lot of pretty rad stuff with spray paint. I'll link his channel below. But anywho's, he's had one of these paint booths. I think it wasn't a paint booth, it's like a little tent building thing. It's see, 12 foot by 20 foot long. It's got metal poles, and it's just got like a tarp that goes over it, fully encloses it, and it's a paint booth. We may buy one of them and set it up out here. We'll have to have that to paint a whole car. You don't have to, but you're gonna keep the bugs out of it. But let me know what y'all think below. You want to see it done in a paint booth, or you want to see it down and dirty, nitty gritty outside? Just let me know. We'll do whatever you want. Matter of fact, this video coming from one of you guys wanting to see how to keep the blotches and stripes and stuff out of this paint. Ain't looking too bad. It's got some weird places here where some of that primer oversprayed, but you could come back and just sand that later and shoot it again. Let me come here and check this. I'm hoping you can check these inconspicuous areas here. As long as they stick and feel like a sticker, they're ready to go. All right, guys, third light coat. I'm gonna check this up here and see. Yeah, a lot of that's. Now, if you'd have come back and let that primer dry and give it a good 800 wet, you'd do a real good job. Here we go. I'm on 75% overlap. You see the speed I'm going? We'll go back over it with like a quick drop coat like this. While it's still a little wet, we're not putting a lot of material. It's kind of hazing the color over it. Let that dry and take a gander. Wipe the tip off and be good. All right, guys, now what we're gonna try is our control coat. There's several different ways you can just fog it over. We got our lines going this way, and the easy way, we've got our color built up the way we want it. But we're gonna kind of go against the lines and just kind of haze it. We're not trying to build color. We're just trying to get all the flake land on top to look good. I will say this stuff don't go far, guys. I've probably got this much left. And if I hadn't have shot the primer, we'd have probably used 2 cans on this fender. But the trick is, if you can find a primer or another color, make sure always stick to the same brand. If we had a gray, would be the best thing. I didn't even think about that when I was in there buying it today, but that's a tip I forgot about. Get you a gray that's close to this. When you shoot this on, take less paint. Another tip that I didn't even think about. So, all right, now we're gonna start 45ing on this. We're gonna stay back about 2 foot just to get our color. And all we're doing is misting the metal flake. Just trying to even up the coat and get rid of any lines or blotching. We're just putting really, really light coats on. We'll let the fog get out and see what she looks like. Yeah, guys, she's still drying, but I tell you what, it don't look too bad, I don't think. Now, you do, like I said before, you do cut down on your sheen when you do a drop coat like that, because it's not wet enough to shine. It's kind of like dry coating almost. But if you was 2K clearing this thing, it'd look like $1,000,000. Looks like it needs a few more back in here, but pretty happy with it. I mean, we didn't body work it, so stuff's going to show up. Like if you don't go through must have changed the patterns down at the airport. But if you don't fix all your little bodywork stuff, it really shows up in these metallics. It just sticks down in it. And one more tip, I know I've blew y'all guys up with tips, but when you're painting metallics, always hang your panels as they're going to hang on the car. You lay it down and paint it, when you put it on your car, it's not going to match if you're matching the colors. So yeah, but what do you guys think about that? We're going to pull it out here in the sunshine so you can see the flake right there. You can see it pretty good. So we're going to get out here in the sun and let you see it. All right, guys, well, I'm pretty impressed the way this turned out. We had done body work and got all the dingers and stuff and the whiskey dents out of it. Should look pretty good, but the overall color quality and stuff, and not being all striped up, and it's got a good flake to it. And as soon as this sunshine comes back out, I'll let you see it. That was 3 coats, and then the control coat over top of that, just a good haze drop coat over top of it. But yeah, I think it looks good. I have a spray can. I mean, you can't ask for much better than that. And look at these planes fly over every time I start filming. Yeah, it looks like it laid down good, not a bunch of modeling and stuff. All right, guys, now that the sun's out, I want y'all to see this before it goes away. Man, that stuff dances all around. She looks good. Alright guys, hope y'all enjoyed that quick little video on shooting this metallic. This stuff can be tricky, but if you use the tips and stuff I showed you here, I think you guys will do pretty well. I mean, I've saw stuff come out of spray guns look worse than that. Alright guys, make sure if you want one of them Shakemaster 4000s, we produce them in very small quantities. I weld, me and Daddy build them. I weld every one of these things. So if you want one, make sure you head on over to www.acdesignsgarage.com. Also, if you want to scoop you one of these rad t-shirts and be one of the cool kids, they're there too. Got some of them by going like hotcakes. Appreciate all you guys that's scooping these Shakemasters and t-shirt up and helping the channel so we can do more cool rad stuff for y'all. And remember, be kind to one another. Jesus loves you, so do we. God bless. We gone.